नमस्ते बिटिया, हमेशा खुश रहो बिटिया. A very good morning to you all. Myself, JVN Dr. Ravi Jain, Assistant Professor, Department of Practice of Medicine in Faculty of Homeopathic Science at Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about diabetes mellitus. As we all know, diabetes mellitus is a very common disease that is affecting a lot of people worldwide. Diabetes is a very important disease because of which a lot of patients are affected, leading to a great degree of morbidity and mortality. And also, it is responsible for a lot of complications in the later part of the life. If the diabetes is not controlled, then it can lead to the development of a lot of diseases. Now, what is diabetes? Diabetes mellitus, it comprises of a group of metabolic disorders that share common features. The features of hyperglycemia resulting from the defect of insulin secretion, insulin action, or both. So there are two important things that are occurring in diabetes mellitus. One is defect in the insulin secretion and the second one is insulin action, either single or a combination of both. Diabetes mellitus can be classified on the basis of pathogenic process that leads to hyperglycemia. Hyperglycemia means increased level of glucose in the blood. There are two types of diabetes mellitus. One is type 1 and the other one is type 2. Type 1 diabetes mellitus, it is characterized by insulin deficiency and a tendency to develop ketosis. So, type 1, also known as IDDM or insulin dependent diabetes mellitus, it is characterized by absolute insulin deficiency and a tendency to develop ketosis. Type 2 diabetes mellitus is a heterogeneous group of disorders characterized by variable degree of insulin resistance. There is no deficiency but the resistance to insulin, impaired insulin secretion, and excessive hepatic glucose production. So there are three things that are happening in type 2 diabetes mellitus. We have insulin resistance, impaired insulin secretion, and excessive hepatic glucose level production. So this was about type 1 and type 2 diabetes mellitus. In type 1 there was absolute insulin deficiency, and in type 2 there is varying degree of insulin resistance, impaired insulin secretion, and excessive hepatic glucose production. There are other specific type of diabetes mellitus which we can see in various conditions. So other subtypes includes genetic factors. Genetic factors are responsible for maturity onset diabetes of the young, that is also known as MODY. MODY means maturity onset diabetes of the young. Diseases of the exocrine pancreas. Exocrine pancreas, which includes chronic pancreatitis, cystic fibrosis, hemochromatosis. So, diseases of the exocrine pancreas, which includes chronic pancreatitis, cystic fibrosis, and hemochromatosis. There are various endocrinopathies, which includes acromegaly, Cushing syndrome, glucagonema, pheochromocytoma, and hyperthyroidism. There are various other drugs which includes nicotinic acid, glucocorticoids, thiazides, and protease inhibitors. Pregnancy is responsible for gestational diabetes mellitus. The phenotype of these monogenetic and secondary type of diabetes mellitus typically resembles type 2 diabetes mellitus. The severity depends on the degree of beta cell dysfunction and prevailing insulin deficiency resistance. So the severity of type 2 diabetes mellitus depends on the degree of beta cell dysfunction and the prevailing insulin resistance. Type 1 diabetes mellitus, also known as the juvenile onset diabetes mellitus, because the peak incidence is the children and adolescent. It results from autoimmune destruction of the pancreatic beta cells. So other specific types we have studied, which includes genetic defects, which includes maturity onset diabetes of the young, that is MODY. Diseases of the exocrine pancreas, that includes chronic pancreatitis, cystic fibrosis, and hemochromatosis. We have endocrinopathies, which includes acromegaly, Cushing syndrome, glucagonoma, pheochromocytoma, and hyperthyroidism. Various drugs, which includes nicotinic acid, glucocorticoids, thiazides, proteases inhibitors. Pregnancy-associated diabetes is known as gestational diabetes mellitus. The phenotype of the monogenic and secondary type diabetes mellitus resembles type 2 diabetes mellitus. The severity depends on the degree of beta cell dysfunction and prevailing insulin resistance. Type 1 diabetes mellitus is also known as juvenile onset diabetes because its peak incidence is in children and childhood and adolescence. It results from autoimmune destruction of the pancreatic beta cells. Now we come to the risk factors. Risk factors for diabetes mellitus. Who are the individuals who are at risk for development of diabetes mellitus? What are the risk factors? Risk factors includes age greater than 45 years. Means the more the age, the greater is the tendency for development of diabetes mellitus. Overweight individual with body mass index greater than 25 kg per meter square. Family history of diabetes. Next is habitual physical inactivity. Those individuals who are not doing any kind of activity are responsible for development of diabetes mellitus. So we have age greater than 45 years, overweight, BMI greater than 25 kg per meter square, family history of diabetes mellitus, habitual physical inactivity, those people who are not doing any kind of physical activity, previously identified IGF, that is insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGT, that is impaired glucose tolerance. History of gestational diabetes mellitus or delivery of baby with greater than 9 pound. Hypertension. If a person is having hypertension in the past, that person is having a great tendency for development of diabetes mellitus. Hypertension with a range greater than 140 by 90 mm of Hg. Polycystic ovarian syndrome and history of valvular disease. So we have age greater than 45 years, overweight with BMI greater than 25 kg per meter square, family history of diabetes, habitual physical inactivity, previously identified IFG, that is insulin-like growth factor, or IGT, that is impaired glucose tolerance, history of GDM or delivery of baby with greater than 9 pound, hypertension with a range greater than 140 by 90 mm of Hg, polycystic ovary syndrome, and history of valvular diseases. Now we come to the clinical features. What are the clinical features or the signs and symptoms with which a patient of diabetes mellitus can present to us? So, clinical features or the signs and symptoms with which the patient can come to us. The onset can be gradual in adults but acute in children. So the onset can be gradual in adults but it can be acute in children. There is thirst with dry mouth or polydipsia. There is polyuria, nocturia. So we have onset. Onset is gradual but acute in children. The thirst, the patient is thirsty with dry mouth, polydipsia. There will be polyuria, that is great frequency of passing urine, and nocturia, that is tendency to go urine more and more at night. The patient also complains of fatigue, tiredness, and lethargy. There is noticeable change in weight. Usually weight loss is seen in case of diabetes mellitus. There is blurring of the vision. Pruritus vulva. There is great itching in the vulvar region in females and balanitis in males. You can also see a lot of genital candidiasis in the individual. There is loss of libido or the loss of sexual drive or erectile dysfunction. The patient can also complain of nausea, headache, hyperplasia, and predilection for sweet food. I will again repeat the clinical features. The clinical features includes the onset is usually adults is insidious or slow in adults and acute in children. The thirst, there is great thirst with increased quantity for water, that is known as polydipsia. There is also polyphagia, increased appetite. Polyuria, that is increased passage of urine. Nocturia. There is great tiredness and fatigue and also lethargy. There is noticeable change in weight, usually weight loss, with blurring of the vision. There is pruritus vulvae in females and balanitis in males. There is loss of libido or loss of sexual drive or erectile dysfunction. There is nausea, headache, hyperphagia, and predilection for sweet things or sweets. The patient can also have the symptom at the mental level. At the mental level, the symptoms includes mood changes, irritability, बहुत ज़्यादा चिड़चिड़ापन पेशेंट को रहता है. There is difficulty in concentration and apathy. So, on the mental level, the patient can have mood changes, irritability, apathy, and difficulty in concentration. Now, how to diagnose the case of diabetes mellitus? Whenever a patient of diabetes mellitus is coming to us, how can we diagnose the case of diabetes mellitus? For diagnosis, the patient must come with the symptoms that we have just discussed. So, the above mentioned symptoms that we have just completed, which includes polyuria, polyphagia, polydipsia, blurring vision, tiredness, fatigue, lethargy, headache, hyperphagia, and predilection for sweets, and also the mental symptoms which includes irritability, mood changes, difficulty in concentration, and apathy. So, apart from these symptoms, we have to check for the urine for glucose and presence of ketone bodies, measurement of fasting venous glucose blood. Diagnosis is confirmed by two things. One is fasting plasma glucose, that is greater than 7 millimole per liter, and random plasma glucose, that is greater than 11.1 millimole per liter. So fasting glucose should be greater than 7.0 millimole per liter or 126 mg per dl, and random plasma glucose is greater than 11.1 millimole per liter or 200 mg per dl. So you can check for the glucose level in the blood. And the management. Now we come to the management part. How to manage a case of hyperglycemia when the patient is coming to us. So the management includes dietary or the lifestyle modification. We have to do the dietary management or the lifestyle management. We have to restrict certain food materials. We have to avoid sweets. Then apart from the food materials, then we have to also prescribe oral anti-diabetic drugs to the patient. There are various injected therapies. Oral hypoglycemic agents have to be given. In oral hypoglycemic agents, we have to give insulin secretagogues, which secretes the insulin, which includes sulfonylureas or meglitinides. There are insulin sensitizers, which includes biguanides and thiazolidinines, and drug modulating digestion, various drugs which can modulate the digestion, which includes acarbose and veglibose. So oral hypoglycemic agent includes insulin secretagogues, insulin sensitizers, and drug modulating digestion. Metformin is also advised in various patients, and it has the advantage that it promotes mild weight loss and it lowers the insulin level, promotes the lipid profile slightly. It lowers the risk for cancer and does not cause hypoglycemia when it is used as monotherapy. So metformin does not produce any kind of hypoglycemia. As endogenous insulin production falls, multiple injection of long-acting and short-acting insulin may be given. Bariatric surgery should be considered in selected patients. So let me revise the management of diabetes mellitus. It includes dietary and lifestyle modification, oral anti-diabetic drugs, injected therapies, oral hypoglycemic agents, insulin secretagogues, insulin sensitizers, drug modulating digestion, and metformin. Apart from this, long-acting and short-acting insulin injection can be advised. And in the last, bariatric surgery in order to reduce the weight in selected patients should be considered. So this was all about diabetes mellitus. The complication of diabetes we are going to discuss in the next lecture. So this was all about diabetes mellitus. I hope you have understood this session properly. If you have any query, please mention in the comment box and I'll try to resolve it. This was all for today. Thank you very much. This session is powered by Digital Version 2.0 Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University. I hope the things are clear. If you have any query, please mention in the comment box and I'll try to resolve it. This was all for today. Thank you very much. Have a good day.